Thank you so much, Sarah. And I'll actually spoiler it at the beginning because I'm going to adapt this talk slightly to be more appropriate to the risk focus of the week that you've put together. Um, but being a geologist, those of you on the call who are also, you might be unsurprised to know that in some ways that next dimension is time. But that's not what we're going to talk about exactly today. Um, I am very pleased to be able to discuss the BHP Explore program with everybody on the call. And as I said, I specifically wanted to talk about how it speaks to risk. I flew through our disclaimer. That's something you can go back and have a pause and a closer look at if you like. But what I'd like to do just quickly, for those of you on the call who might not be familiar with BHP, we're one of the world's largest integrated mining companies with 80,000 employees globally. We mine copper and nickel for the electrification of the planet, potash for sustainable agriculture, and iron ore and met coal for the development of infrastructure globally. But I am not here today to talk about the mining end of BHP. I am here to go way back to the very other end of the value chain, which is to exploration, and specifically early stage exploration projects or concept driven exploration projects. Those big ideas that are going to lead to the world's next significant mineral discovery that we need to continue to supply the planet the resources that it needs. And Explore is a little bit different. It came out of a group of people who got together and they had identified a risk to the business or something that we weren't doing very well. And that was, how do we tap into these early stage concept driven opportunities? These ideas and projects where there's not a lot known yet, there's not a lot of geological information that's been gathered, but as I said, really could have that next great deposit, but that weren't in the right place for BHP to want to make a significant investment. And a group of people got together and said, look, this is a really big gap for our business. We want to work out how we can leverage this space better. How can we partner with these groups that are doing these amazing pieces of work? And in order to solve that, we went out to Silicon Valley. We went out to come back in and we looked at the accelerator model that exists across technology and pharmaceutical spaces in particular. And we modified it for mineral exploration and we launched it as Explore. And one of the big things that we really wanted Explore to do was to build confidence in the exploration projects that we were partnering with. We went out in an open application round. We are in the middle of our second year of the program with 6 fantastic companies this year. We had 7 last year. And we take them through a program to de-risk their projects from a variety of different standpoints. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But we really wanted this program and the BHP Explore initiative to be something that was different, to be something that really looked at how you could bring together a mining company like BHP and all of the brilliant minds in exploration and create something different that was really driving the future of exploration. And we think we've done that. We do believe with Explore that we have created something that's quite special. The people who are involved with Explore have had very positive feedback around how it is different and it is pushing the boundaries of how mineral exploration is thought about. Who is Explore for? Who do we look for in people to apply and to come into the BHP Explore program? And the answer is everybody. We are not going to solve the challenges of the future of humanity on this planet by excluding people. And we very much think that the BHP Explore is for everybody. It's for individuals with amazing ideas The cartoon there is actually of Jim Mungall, who was one of our first cohort members who came in as an individual with an idea. He now has a company, Bronze-Eyed Exploration, which is up and running, that he set up as part of the Explore program. It's for private companies who are working on projects that they've maybe, worked up prospectivity of an area themselves. They're thinking about something different. They've caught a piece of geological information in a report that people have missed. And then it's for public companies as well. And so sometimes it's that the project isn't the main focus of the shareholders, and the company is looking for a way to advance it forward that hasn't been seen before. But the idea of Explore is that it is a very wide open net, because we want to be able to capture and support all of the amazing ideas that are out there globally. So I mentioned that we look to de-risk these projects, and we look to de-risk these projects from an internal perspective so that we can make subsequent investment decisions following the Explore program. But we also look to de-risk them for the company themselves so that we can change how they're thinking about their opportunity, and in the end, make it something that the broader industry will be more interested in. The program itself comes with a couple of different pieces. It comes with a $50,000 grant, which is an important piece to help support the project and the people doing it as it goes through the 6-month program. But where we see a lot of the value is the program itself. And it was described by Dr. Mike Jones, again, one of our year 1 cohort, I suppose graduates, sort of, not really participants, that he described BHP Explore like a mini MBA for minerals exploration. And that's because we take the cohort through key foundational ideas around de-risking your business, operational, and technical aspects of your project. And we do that through bringing in ideas like mineral systems. I'll go into that more in a minute. We look at how do you design a business strategy? How do you look at above ground risk? How do you look at ESG and all of those key pieces, and really bringing everything into a whole and seeing how everything is connected. And if you're not addressing every single one of those pieces in your project, you are going to have challenges developing your project going forward. So while we don't always intentionally use language around risk, that is actually a lot of what we're thinking about in all of the different ideas that we introduce to the cohort. And then the other thing we do is we tap into our global network of experts. We run masterclasses, we run in-person events where we bring those experts in to run workshops and speak to our cohort. And we have an alumni community as well that once each year's program is finished, we stay engaged with all of the companies, whether there's an additional investment made or not. And all of this is around building collaboration. It is around bringing the best ideas together to solve our biggest problems. One of the things we do bring in, as I mentioned, is mineral systems. And we use mineral systems as a way of thinking about deposits and opportunities from a technical perspective, but in a different way. And it's all grounded around thinking about the key processes that have to happen for you to get the type of deposit and size of deposit that you want. And this is something we take the cohort through. We work with them through the 6-month program to apply that in developing their critical work programs, figuring out how they're going to answer the key questions to continue to de-risk their projects. And this is one of those examples how we work collaboratively with these exploration companies to frame out their projects in a way that they might not previously have been thinking about, but is absolutely the way that we consider opportunities internally within BHP. And the whole point of it, obviously, is to get to a discovery. That's why we're all doing what we're doing as exploration geologists and treasure hunters. But discovery for us, although the primary goal is that deposit in the ground, there are a lot of other types of discovery that happen through the Explore program. It's learning about different ways of thinking. It's learning about new jurisdictions and new parts of the world and new geology, and finding new ways to work together to continue to be able to do this amazing work that is going to lead to the discoveries of the future. And really, it all runs on passion. The Explore team is a small team. There's 5 of us spread out across the world. As I said, we took on 6 companies this year for the program, 7 last year. But all of us are incredibly passionate about delivering an amazing program for the cohort, for delivering value to the business and to our cohort companies, and to creating that life-changing experience that is bringing all of these amazing minds together to solve problems and discuss ideas, and to be those treasure hunters and make those discoveries. Thank you.
Libby, absolutely fantastic. Everyone, please put your hands together for the fantastic Libby Sharman. Thank you very much. Amazing. So if you've got questions, please do remember to pop them into the chat or into the Q&A. But just to start with, Libby, in terms of what you're accelerating or catalyzing, for example, here within Explore, do you have any examples of kind of what happens next? Because, of course, this isn't BHP doing something to an organization, is it? In a way, it's different to that.
Yeah, it's absolutely different. The mantra we have is show, not tell. And it is all about building long-term partnerships. So we come into the start of the program with that mentality of, okay, here are some things that we think are pretty amazing. Here's some ways of thinking that we find work for us. We want to share them with you, and then over the next 6 months, work with you to figure out how do they work best for you? Is this something that's good, right for your project? How can we develop it? At the end of the 6 months, there is a decision made internally around pursuing additional investment with each of the individual cohort companies or not. That is very much driven by a portfolio fit for BHP. So you saw at the beginning, we have key commodities that we're focused on. We look at long-term optionality. We look at delivering the resources that the world needs. But if we don't pursue an investment with one of those companies, it's not because we don't think the project has value. We don't think that they weren't, there's no winner in the program. It's not like, some sort of judged thing. And we maintain those relationships because what we want is that these companies see us as an ideal partner for their next good idea, so that we can continue to build that. And also believing that we've maybe made a bit of a difference in how these exploration companies go out and do their work, especially how they're thinking about above ground risk in early stage projects. So that's a common one that we hear. Oh, I'm just doing concept work. I don't need to think about communities right now. And Sarah, you and I, we've had this discussion that it's never too soon to think about those risks and opportunities, really, because if you think about them early, you can approach them in the right way, and you create more partnerships. So yeah, really, partnerships is another one of our mantras. It's where it goes back to.
Thank you for that, Libby. We've got loads of questions beginning to come in now. One of which is from Ben, and Ben asks, are there any results yet worth mentioning, Libby, or are you allowed to talk about any of them?
Yeah, so I can mention some results. I will say we are pursuing agreements with several of the companies from the first year's cohort. Some of those companies are private, and so those are discussions that will happen outside of any sort of reporting requirements. But there are things continuing, and as and when we're able to release the sort of as those deals are closed, we will release them. One of the really cool things I can talk about is that one of our first year cohort, Asian Battery Minerals, who was exploring for nickel in Mongolia, did actually, in the course of the program, drill an intersection of mineralized copper nickel sulfide, proving up that there is a mineralized system there in Western Mongolia that was not previously identified. They are describing it as Explore's first discovery, and it happened during that first year of the program. And I think it's an amazing testament to how working together can drive these things forward.
That's really, really exciting, Libby. And in terms of from a finance perspective, we've had a lot of discussions throughout this week, kind of focusing on the difficulties of attracting investment, etc., into that very kind of early stage exploration. Is this something that Explore as a program is touching on? Are you seeing it influencing anything to do with the financing? Do you have any comments on that?
That's a really interesting question, and it is one of the things that we try to address with the Explore program. There is obviously the grant component of the program itself, so creating that financial space for the individual or company that comes into the program to pursue their idea. It is absolutely true that there is a disconnect right now between the funding needs of exploration and the market support. I can't speak to what we're doing to try and address that. I think that's a group problem to solve, certainly not just Explore or BHP. But what we are doing is, again, I'm using it a lot, and my boss Sonia will probably tell me off because she doesn't like the word risk. She likes the word opportunity. But by getting these companies and individuals to think about their opportunities in a different way and frame them out in a different way, and directly challenge and address those concerns that come with early stage projects around geological questions, jurisdictional access, things like that. We're hoping to drive a different conversation around market confidence, so that people can go out and talk about their projects in a different way to the market that will hopefully influence how the market itself is seeing what is good in those projects and where they can see investment being worthwhile.
I love that. I think that kind of bringing in market confidence as the answer, or one of the answers there, is brilliant. And don't worry, Libby, the academic definition for risk is the effect of uncertainty on our objectives, and those effects can be both threats and opportunities. So you're 100% correct by using the word risk. It's all good, says the geek that is me. Final question. Within each cohort of Explore, there are only a certain number of companies. And so it's quite a small club in a way, and I'm not saying it's a clique at all, but in terms of Explore going forwards, how do you think this can maybe grow? Do you think there's almost like a franchise model here? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, we're looking into cloning. No. It's a funny question, and we are seeing other majors in the market now rolling out their own accelerator sort of programs, not necessarily in the early stage exploration space. I think Rio has just announced a technologies driven accelerator. I think that we as an industry need to find innovative ways of improving what we do and how we do it. And so to see accelerator models like Explore go out there and make a small difference, there's very much a hope from my side, and I think from the business's side, that this will have a knock-on effect. So you're right, it is a small group every year. But every year they then go out and they talk to their peers. We have early career geologists who attend some of the masterclasses and attend some of the program and are coached by their technical lead, who's part of the program, who's then changing the dialogue and the way they're thinking about their projects. And while it isn't a massive immediate step change, having that way of thinking and change of thinking working its way out into the broader exploration industry, and then hopefully seeing the results and successes of this approach and way of thinking. We believe that in our own way, we are changing the industry.
No, it's absolutely brilliant, and it's fantastic to certainly see those ripples that are coming out from it, and certainly have been since its inception. So Dr. Libby Sharman, thank you so much for coming and joining us here today. Everyone, please put your hands together for a warm thanks of appreciation to Libby. Thank you very much.